It's game day. NC State at Clemson, 12 o'clock ABC. It's going to kick off here in just a little bit. Gave you my prediction earlier in the week. I believe the Tigers win the game. We're going to talk about the game, what I'm hoping to see, and Clemson is without one of their major stars, one of my favorite players on the team. We'll discuss that more in just a second. Welcome to the channel. I'm Brian, your humble host. As I always say, if someone tells you they're humble, they're not. But I'm glad you're here. If you love to argue about college football, if you like to get all worked up, get your blood pressure up there, make your cardiologist more money, he can afford better seats at the game. Just because of you and your rage with college football, I hope you'll subscribe because this is your channel. I'm glad you're here. Drop a line and let me know that you stopped by. So earlier this week, I predicted that Clemson would win the ball game. Right now, they are a 17-point favorite going into the game. NC State is without Grayson McCall. C.J. Bailey, a freshman from Chaminade, Madonna, he's 6'6". He's going to get the start. He played last week against La Tech. Came in after Grayson McCall just the injury bug bit that guy a couple of years ago. Actually, it was a couple of years ago, and it's plagued him. And I know a lot of you picked on me for saying, "Oh, Grayson's so good." And yeah, okay, look, that's fine. You can pick on me, but I'm telling you, I saw the guy when he was healthy. And he was unbelievable. I hate this for his career. Hopefully he can get over the hump, but it just seems like, man, it's anyway. So they come into Clemson. They haven't beat Clemson at Clemson. Did you hear me? At Clemson. Someone's going to go, they beat you last year. You're drunk from last night, aren't you? You're still hungover. You had a few too many Mike's Hard Lemonades. They have not beat Clemson in Clemson since 2002 when a guy named Phillip Rivers was playing for them. That was a Thursday night game, and they beat the crap out of Clemson. That was many, many years ago, and so they're looking to get over the hump. On Clemson's side, this is their first conference game of the season. They haven't had to prove anything this far. They played Georgia. We know how that went. They beat the crap out of Appalachian State, but they haven't had to prove anything in conference. And between you and I, after watching that game between Stanford and Syracuse last night, I really don't think they're going to have to prove much of anything in conference. It's to the point that the ACC is so bad that if Clemson loses a game in conference, that should kind of scare you. Because if you took Clemson and you put them in, say, like Conference USA or something like that, you would expect Clemson to win every game. If you took Clemson a level down to FCS and put them in the Southern Conference, some of you right now you're mumbling about Bobby Dodd's statement. Anybody can win on any day. Okay, great, wonderful. In theory, Clemson should never lose a game in SoCon, the Sun Belt, the MAC, whatever conferences that still exist that's terrible, they shouldn't lose. And just newsflash, the ACC is quite terrible. Last night, Syracuse goes in to play Stanford. Stanford has been terrible for a while. You'd have to go back to the McAfee days. Or I say McAfee. I'm thinking about Pat McAfee. McCaffrey, good Lord. The McCaffrey days, you'd have to go back to the Andrew Luck days. That's a long time ago. Some of you think that's not too long ago. That was a long time ago for Stanford to be good. Went in, they played Syracuse. Everybody's like, Syracuse is fired up and looking good. Syracuse lost last night to a team that has been terrible in the pack for a very long time. So do with that what you will. So Clemson comes into this game, 17-point favorite, kicks off in about 38 minutes. Now, here's the key. Clemson, go out there and beat the crap out of them. All right? NC State should not hang with you. You have more talent than any other team they've played so far except for Tennessee. Tennessee has a lot of talent. Tennessee does have a lot of talent, but Clemson has a lot of talent. So Clemson should come out in this ball game. There is no conservative play call. If you're going to open up the playbook against App State, open it up against NC State, put them away early. Get the guys who's second and third and fourth string and your grad assistant transfers, get them into the game, get them some experience, get some of those guys that probably shouldn't have a scholarship at Clemson that keeps you from going to the transfer portal because, well, we can't fire anybody. Well, you shouldn't have gave that dude over there that wouldn't play at Brevard College. You shouldn't give him a scholarship. Yeah. So get those guys in, get them some experience. Let's put bad teams away. You know my motto: beat bad teams bad. Get these guys in here. Don't give NC State one moment of belief that they can beat you. Go ahead and send them back to Raleigh. Go ahead and send them back major losers. Do that. Don't give them hope. We know Dave Doeren and Dabo's had this thing over the years. And let's think about this. Let's go back to Dave Doeren is one of our favorite people to sit there and stare at because he's made some comments in the past that just made you feel like, and I'm sorry he did this, I'm just saying it. I'm just, if you don't want to be seen this way, don't act a certain way. I'm going to hit a nerve for some people here. I'm kind of in a quirky mood this morning. I'm going to get in the comment section in just a second. But that's kind of like a woman not wanting to be seen as a sex symbol, but when she goes out in public, she wears next to nothing. Eyes up here. Well, then put some clothes on. I mean, I don't even have to be a lustful person. I mean, I've always said this, if I pulled my pants down, and I'll leave it at that, and walked around and then had the audacity to go, eyes up here, it doesn't make sense, folks. I'm sorry. It doesn't make sense. What Dave has done that was weird comments and just annoying comments over the year. Remember, after he lost to Clemson, 2015, something like that, up at NC State, he was like, I heard there's a laptop, or somebody brought up a laptop being on Clemson's sideline. He's like, it needs to be investigated. I bet he's the type of person who used the words, I demand rectification. Run from people who uses the word rectify. It's just they're normally weird people. Dave, last year after beating Clemson, told Steve Smith that he could kiss his butt. I edited there. And I think the sideline reporter immediately reminded Dave, Steve Smith works for another network. Yeah. So I think he said something like, tell Steve Smith back in the studio that he can kiss my... And she's like, yeah, that's on another network. So Dave, I have found out from NC State fans that if he was not their coach, they wouldn't like him. So Dave is just one of those guys. He puts a target on his back. He goes into these scenarios, creates these scenarios that he doesn't have to create, but he loves it. I guess that's his way of contributing to the world. But there's that weird thing. Clemson needs to come out and beat the crap out of Dave and the Wolfpack and send them back to Raleigh. On paper, Clemson is more talented than the rest of the teams they're going to play the rest of this season and the rest of this regular season. So my goal, and I've said this and I'm going to parakeet it, which means I'm repeating myself. Just open up, beat the crap out of them. All right? If you can run the ball for 200, 250 yards and you don't have to throw downfield, okay, that's fine. But I think that our passing game needs to develop. This would be another great game to do so. Beat NC State bad, send them packing, and then you'll have Stanford next week. Now, Stanford has an incredible wide receiver playing for them. Last night he had a really incredible grab. He's also the guy who had nearly 300 yards receiving against Colorado last season and gave Travis Hunter a run for his money. Now, while everybody's talking about Travis Hunter and how good he is, the guy's incredible, you can't help to believe that the hype train is there. And also the guy's playing hundreds of snaps per game. The guy's getting beat up. The guy is getting beat up, and that could hurt his draft stock. Or he goes into the NFL and he's beat up from playing 500 snaps per game, and his career's not that long. So anyway, going back to Clemson, beat these guys, beat them early, take away their hope, Don't give him a chance to believe. That's one. All right. Next, Peter Woods. Peter Woods got hurt pretty bad. He's out this game. He's out. He's not playing. Phil Maffa is my favorite offensive player. I've been very forward about that. Peter Woods, I have a ton of respect for. Maybe he's my favorite defensive player on Clemson's football team. I went crazy talking about him last year after I saw him in his spring game. He's only 4 or 5 months removed from high school at that point. And he walks out there and he looked like a man among men. And he is one of those guys that from day one, he's played incredible. He's one of those guys that from day one, he's lived up to the hype. So I hate to hear that he's out. I hope that he can recoup. I hope that he can get better. As much as I'd like to have him in this game, I don't think we need him in this game. Just get Peter Woods better, take care of him, and then get him back out there when he's 100%. And that's seemingly what they're going to do. So I hate that Peter Woods, once again, is injured, that he's hurt. It's annoying. I think a lot of us Clemson fans, if you're like me, you're hoping that it's not going to be like another Xavier Thomas deal. You know, we don't want Peter Woods to have that XT experience where he came out, he was amazing, and then just a bunch of injuries and stuff happened to him. But anyway, Peter Woods, we're without him today. There's probably a few more. Let me get in the comment section, say hello. Look at that. Look, Clee. I love that, Parker. No, I know what you're going to do. Parker Henderson, Clemson wins 3-2. Hey, I like it. It's a baseball score. A lot of people are feeling good. Parker, are you at the game? Let me know in the comment section. Parker supports the show. Thank you so much. See the symbol beside his name, that circle with that weird, whatever. What is that? I've never figured out what that symbol is. But anyway, he didn't create it. It's YouTube does that, but that means he supports the channel on a monthly basis, $3 or $5 per month. So you choose if you want to support monthly. That's a great chance to do it. Again, I hope you will subscribe if you haven't already, because that's free. Parker, thanks for supporting the channel. Let's see. Get into a few more. Still Gamble. Good to see you, Still Gamble. 38-10, Clemson. Doug Trulock. I want to say Trulock. It's the accent. Go Tigers. Here's to our offense using the same playbook versus App State. I'm with you. Nature Boy. Woo! Clem Tiger. Revenge game. Laptops. Towels. Oh, yeah. The Mario Williams pulling our towels like a 3-year-old. Rob Ellen. Good morning. For no Tiger turnovers today. Yes. Tony Cheek, what time is the game? It's at 12 o'clock, so it's in about 29 minutes on ABC. Alex is gaming. Please, hopefully the offense just wasn't one game. I'm telling you, that's the biggest concern that I have, Alex, is Clemson going back in their shell, because they have formed a new strategy of going back in their shell. And the only time Clemson opens up their playbook is after they blow it. And you're like, I want an example. Last year, after the Georgia game, well, Georgia's different, has more talent than that didn't stop Kentucky from opening up the playbook. So this whole thing of, and the Clemson apologists who are making up excuses of why Clemson it didn't show their playbook or didn't try against Georgia or just try to get out of it. Guys, I think that proves our program is in a decline. That our fans are, there's one thing Clemson fans are getting really good at right now. Over the past 3 or 4 seasons, including this one, Clemson fans are getting really good at making excuses for the poor play that we're seeing on the offensive side of the football, especially the coaching. And all I can say is we're getting really good at making excuses. I'm not, but some of you who watch this channel, some of you are getting really good at making excuses for Clemson, which means you're getting to practice it. because they're losing more and more and more. And they're leaving us scratching our heads more and more and more on the offensive side of the football, especially on the coach and on the coaching. And so practice makes perfect, which means we've been left scratching our heads several times. Off subject, please shave. Yeah, I know, David Wood. I know. Good to see you. Tiger Tom, show us that quarterback development has proved. Let the boy throw again. Let's see if he's for real. Just maybe he always has been. Yeah, you can't get mad at a quarterback for running the plays his coach has called for him. Well, we're not sure if he can actually do the job, so replace him. Well, we can't replace him. Why? Well, because the quarterback's behind him. Wait, before you say that, remember Dabo said he was happy with his quarterback room. So which is it? I'm with you, Tiger Tom. Let the man throw the football. Mike Madden is just loving this. Mike Madden. Good to see you, Madden. Yeah, that's not happening. Then we see Stellato finally get some catches with Tyler Brown out. Yeah, it's Stellato, the guy I think maybe has the best hands on the team. It just can't stay healthy. I hope we can. Did we recruit Bailey? I don't know. Good morning, Douglas Spencer. It's good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see. I have to make a quick Dollar General run. Thumbs up. Well, it's good to see you, David Wood. David Wood, yep. SC Country, let's go Tigers. Good to see you, my friend. Carolina Jackpot making here. Go Pack. Of course you would say that, Carolina Jackpot. Glad you're in here, man. All right. Jonathan Benton, which Clemson will we see today? Hopefully one that the offense puts more energy, the offensive coaching staff, namely Garrett Riley and Dabo overseeing it, namely one that puts more energy into calling plays and being aggressive versus making excuses. And yeah, still gamble. Go Zips. Yeah. Carolina Jackpot, y'all have the Zips today. Akron Zips. Meditating Monkey. Not sure how I feel about the spread. I thought it was kind of high still. I'm with you. Because, it opened as Clemson as like a 20-point favorite, 20.5-point favorite. Now it's dropped to 3. Dropped by 3 to 17. I need new coffee. Stellato was wide open on the Brenning Still touchdown. Was not happy about it. Freshman wide receivers got to get going early. They need to put them out there and they need to turn them loose. And they need to show recruits that if you come to Clemson, you're good enough, we're going to put you on the field. And if I hear anything about loyalty to certain players, you need to remember that you have to be loyal to the entire team as a whole. Put the best players on the field. That's loyalty to the entire team. Because you can also flip that around. If we're not worried about putting the best players on the field, then you're being disloyal to the players and the parents that you've told that you're actually going to do the best for the team. You're going to make the best decision for the team. You understand? Do y'all smell what the Rock's cooking? You're not showing loyalty by keeping the best players on the sidelines. You're not showing loyalty to the team as a whole. You're showing favoritism to a few players that probably shouldn't be on the field. And that's just holding your middle finger up to the rest of the team. It just doesn't make sense. Be loyal to those that consistently perform. That's right. That's right. All right. So there's 55 of you in here. Hope you subscribed. Hope you hit the thumbs up. Hit thumbs down if you don't like it. Carolina Jackpot, I fully expect you to hit the thumbs down on this. I fully expect it. And if you don't, you're not doing your job as a Gamecock fan, sir. I called you out there. All right, I'm going to talk about some games that's going to kick off today. I'm just going to go through some top 25 games. Now, once again, last night, Nebraska or I didn't say once. I was thinking about Stanford and Syracuse last night. Illinois and Nebraska got together, both ranked barely inside the top 25. Matt Rule, I like what he's doing out there. I told you it's going to take him 2 or 3 seasons to get things going, but I really believe the guy can coach at the college level. I could care less what he does in the NFL. I don't know how most of those guys do what they do, but I'll leave that at that. But they lost their first game of the season. Illinois went back and forth with them, won in overtime. It was a good game. I watched a lot of that game. It was a lot of fun. So they lost last night. Nebraska got their first loss of the season. Now, 12 o'clock, Marshall and Ohio State kickoff. Obviously, Ohio State is the favorite here. They're a 39.5-point favorite. Jeremiah Smith, you want to talk about a freshman that is absolutely killing it. Jeremiah Smith, 11 receptions, 211 yards, 3 touchdowns. You can say, well, they've played nobody. Well, you beat bad teams bad. That's what you're supposed to do. And college football doesn't have a preseason. I agree with Dabo Swinney on that. I used to be against the cupcake games at the beginning of the season. I've totally changed my philosophy on that. Get these guys warmed up against players who are not on their team, and then just get some continuity there. Go in and play your Georgias and your Ohio States later, when both teams hopefully are hitting on all cylinders, and you can have the best game possible. It's good for college football. That's my opinion. You have Arkansas State playing at number 20, Iowa State. Matt Campbell has been out there. He's still out there, ain't he? Am I right? I think he is. Matt Campbell was a hot commodity about 3 or 4 years ago, and then things have kind of went with Iowa State. It's a tough job. It's a tough job, but they're 2-0. They're a 20.5-point favorite over Arkansas State. Kent State playing Penn State. Penn State's a 49-point favorite. You should see the quarterback for Kent State, Devin Cargman. You need to see. In fact, I'm going to share my screen just so you can see his picture. This is gold. This is gold. This is worth me showing. Look at that picture. You see that? Look at that hair. That is, wow. Yeah. They're not going to win the game, but that is hilarious hair. That's hilarious. And I'm going to say this, and y'all know me. I'm a family-friendly show. But I'm going to say this. So if you have any kids nearby, it's not going to be profanity or perverse. But if you have any kids nearby, just you might want to lower the volume for a second or whatever. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here I go. What is up with all these pedophile mustaches now? Guys are running around with these mustaches that makes them look like they're on a child predator list. And I know that some people think it's funny. They think it's sleek. This is the style. Guys, I'm going to tell you this. You look ridiculous. There's a guy down here. I go into a grocery store. It's near my home. And I've ran into some of you at the grocery store. I always go into the grocery store and I look like crap because I'm just lounging around, but I live so close to it. I don't know. I don't care. The people in there, they know I don't care how I look going in there. So, but there's a guy is at the grocery store down here. He's not working there, but he shops. And you can tell he's ultra confident. He looks like he might have been in the military at one time. But he also looks like someone who would call himself an aficionado, right? Aficionado of, I don't know, cigars. He probably wears ascots all the time. But he has the biggest, not the biggest, but he has the most creepy mustache that makes him look like a pedophile. And I'm sitting there going, at what point do you look in the mirror and go, wow, I look like a child predator. This is the look I'm going for. Folks, I believe in stereotypes, by the way. Some of you don't like that. I'm sorry. Stereotypes is actually part of our defense system. So I've worked with some people before who got in trouble, and I'm just going to leave it at that, in different crimes and stuff. And what's funny is every time I've met someone who is like them, almost 90% of the time, they commit the same crimes. I'm not kidding. It's weird. Whether it's stealing from a company, whether it's drunk driving, whether it's getting in fights. I'm just telling you, that's our God-given defense system that goes, whoa, these people have characteristics of someone who does something bad. So if you're sitting there and you got your little pedo stash, you need to go shave. Yes, I know you have the right to do whatever you want to. I'm just telling you, you look like someone that shouldn't drive within 100 feet of a middle school. Just telling you. That's my public service announcement this morning. All right, let's go back to college football. Southern Cal playing Michigan. This is like a Rose Bowl. I mean, how many times have we seen this Rose Bowl matchup? Southern Cal is a 4.5-point favorite going into the Big House. Southern Cal's 2-0. Michigan is 2-1. This quarterback for I'm going to show this picture. The quarterback for Southern Cal is a 6'1" junior. They're from Los Angeles. Miller Moss. Now the guy had a pretty good game against LSU. But tell me that this guy does not look. Tell me this guy does not look like Justin Timberlake mixed with a real estate agent or a cruise line singer. Y'all, look at this. Do you see that? Look, if I'm not knocking the young man, but what I would do if I were him, I would say retake that picture. I'm just going to look. I'm not even going to give the smirk. If he didn't do the smirk, it would not be as. Yeah, that's not a good picture. The guy is, listen to me. The guy reminds me of someone that would be singing on a cruise line. Now, if you sang on a cruise line, I have friends of mine who played on a cruise line. They played music on a cruise line. If you get the right gig, it actually pays pretty well. But, yeah, I think he should stop. All right, we're about 14 minutes away from game time, so if you need to go run to the store and, get your snacks and whatever, I'm telling you, Turn off the video. I know that's weird. Turn off the video or put me in your ears. Be able to hear if you're driving. I don't want you to get crash or something. But get it because, we're about 14 minutes away from 12 o'clock, 13 and a half minutes or so to 12 o'clock. Southern Cal and Michigan. I think Southern Cal wins that ball game. Not because I think they're back. They have a lot to prove before they're back. And if y'all watch me all the time, you know that I'm that way. I'm saying that about Clemson. Clemson could win out the rest of this season, and I'd be like, great, they won. But who have they played at this point? Because the last time they played someone who had elite talent and elite coaching, they got the color beat out of their jerseys. Well, it was the second half. Well, the second half is part of the game. The second half is part of the game. So Clemson has to. Anyway. So if I would do that with my own team, I'm going to do it to Miami. Miami, you ain't back. Have you played Miami? Boy, Florida. Yeah, and they're about to fire their coach. Prove it, Miami. Prove it. You've done this. You've done this before where you look dominant in the first part of the season. You did it last year. It even fooled me. I was like, maybe they're back. Maybe they're quietly doing this and then, yeah. Southern Cal, prove it to me. UCLA and LSU playing in the Bayou. How is it that LSU ended up playing both Los Angeles schools? LSU is a 21-point favorite. 21-point favorite. That's interesting. What time's that game? 3:30 on ABC. Miami and Notre Dame, 0-2 Miami going into Notre Dame, playing on NBC today at 3:30. And if you're sitting here and you're watching this game, and Notre Dame's a 27.5-point favorite. I'm not a betting man, but I would almost put money on this game that Notre Dame does not cover the spread. I'm not a guy who's going to go out and drop money on games. If I were, I think Notre Dame will win this game. I didn't say that they'd cover the spread. You heard me. I just think they'll win this game because they've already had their dumb blunder this year. Not to say it can't happen again. If Marcus Freeman loses this ball game, he loses his. I'm quite sure he loses his job. Marcus Freeman is one of those guys that got hired too soon. He was coming up through the coaching ranks. He looked like he had a lot of promise. You have to grow. It's okay. Did y'all hear me there, folks? I've said this about Thomas Austin, that was fired from Clemson. Played football at Clemson, spent a few years at Georgia State in some capacity as a coach, and then Dabo hired him as the offensive line coach, fired him at the end of last season after only 2 years at Clemson. Folks, I don't look at Thomas Austin and say, what a failure. This guy's a failure. No. What I say is too much too soon. It's like putting a player in, and he's a true freshman, and he probably shouldn't play until he's a junior. But once he's a junior, if you set him up right, he's going to come out and tear it up, look great. That's how I look at this, and that's how I look at Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman was a rising star in coaching, and he was at Notre Dame 1 year as the defensive coordinator, something like that, and all of a sudden he's the head coach. Too much too soon. Too much too soon can tarnish you. And I think that's what's happened to Marcus Freeman. And you know me, even when I criticize coaches, now I'll criticize coaches way before I'll criticize players. Players do have skin in the game and they do have responsibility. But remember, they're developed and they're told what plays to run. So anytime you want to just take your gloves off with a player, always pause, because they may be just doing what they were told. They may be a product of their development or lack thereof. And to make it really personal, think about that time you were working that job, or you're currently working that job, where you were told over and over to do something stupid that didn't make sense, but if you didn't do it, you would be fired and lose your income. See, oh, it's real now. It makes sense. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But going back, I just think it's too much too soon for Marcus Freeman. And Notre Dame's going to be looking for another coach. Notre Dame is I don't get schools like Notre Dame. I don't get LSU hiring Brian Kelly. It doesn't make sense. Now he's not too much too soon. It's just, it doesn't seem like an elite fit. I think that LSU believes that they're so elite that they can bring in anybody and have them coach for them, and it's going to just churn out results. Yeah, that's wrong. Georgia Tech and Louisville gets together in Louisville, 3:30 ESPN. Louisville is a 10-point favorite. Louisville has a lot to prove. Louisville and Miami are the only two teams right now that hasn't had a loss. They're in the ACC, but they haven't had a loss. And people are starting to focus on Louisville, mainly Miami, but Louisville and Miami. Now, Clemson, everybody knows to take Clemson seriously. They'll talk trash about Clemson. This is the thing about our Tigers. They'll talk trash about our Tigers until they have to play them, especially in the ACC. And Clemson still gets people's best efforts in the ACC because they do know how much talent Clemson has. They do know that if Clemson decides to be aggressive offensively, it's pretty much lights out for them. So, Louisville comes to Clemson November the 2nd. So, we're about 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out, something like that. 6 weeks, I think. So, A lot of people starting to pay attention to Louisville. Georgia Tech 3-1, 1-1 in the ACC. That'll be an interesting game. 3:30, Buffalo and the darlings of the MAC, Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois, after their win against Notre Dame, they had a bye week. They're a 12-point favorite over Buffalo. That'll be an interesting one. 4 p.m. on Fox. 4 p.m. on Fox. Let's see. You have Utah and Oklahoma State. Now both are in the Big 12. Utah at Stillwater. Utah's a 1-point favorite. Is Cam Rising playing in that game, or is he out? That guy, I hate it for him, because when he's healthy, which is rare, the guy's unbelievable. Vanderbilt and Missouri getting together 4:15 today, SEC Network. Missouri is an 18-point favorite. I fully expect them to win. Miami at South Florida there in Raymond James Stadium. Miami's a 17-point favorite. Cam Ortiz thrown for 1,035 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. It's going to be interesting to see how number 8 Miami plays against South Florida. I think South Florida loses the ball game, but anyway, just get ready that if Miami wins that game by 3 touchdowns, they're going to be anointed as back. And if I'm a Canes fan, all trash talk, all fandom put away. If I'm a fan of a football team, see, I went generic there. If I'm a fan of a football team, and I stop singing the fight song, I take my team-colored glasses off, I chill out, I look at history, I look at recent history, which is relevant, and then I look at where Miami's at, or my team is at right now. I go, I'm just going to enjoy them winning today, but they have a lot to prove. I'm not going to get all fired up and sucked in and end up looking like an idiot. That's the point. Have Tennessee and Oklahoma, 7:30 tonight, ABC. Tennessee's a 6.5-point favorite. Nico is the focal point, but I'm going to tell you this. Dylan Sampson is the key. Dylan Sampson can run the football. And Oklahoma has a lot more to prove than Tennessee right now. Because Oklahoma just came into the league. This is year 3 for Brent Venables. Tennessee already had a banner year before last. I'm not saying Josh Heupel doesn't have anything to prove against his former team that he played for, gave him a national championship as a starting quarterback, used to be the offensive coordinator, and his contract wasn't renewed. I'm not saying that Josh Heupel doesn't have anything to prove and that he doesn't have goals. But I'm saying the pressure's on Brent Venables more than ever. And Oklahoma's schedule, I know Florida's schedule's terrible. You should see Oklahoma's. It's awful. I called Tennessee to win that ball game. Bowling Green and Texas A&M. A&M's a 22.5-point favorite. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to speed up a little bit here. Georgia Southern at Ole Miss. A lot of people on the Ole Miss train. A lot of people losing their mind over the Ole Miss train. And let's look at their schedule just real quick. I said I'm going to move fast, and then I said, let's look at their schedule. Playing Kentucky, South Carolina. Then they play LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Georgia, Florida, and Mississippi. That's one of the easiest schedules I've seen for an SEC team. That's one of the easiest schedules. And you're like, I got to play Georgia. I got to play Oklahoma, LSU. Yeah, you should look at Oklahoma's schedule. It is unbelievably hard. So there's a good chance that Ole Miss gets out of this season, regular season, with pushing 2 losses, but 1 loss. You have everybody losing their mind over Texas starting Arch Manning. Quinn Ewers is injured. They're playing against UL Monroe. Texas is a 44-point favorite. That kicks off tonight at 8 o'clock. I'll guarantee you there'll be the viewers for that game the viewership will probably be through the roof for it, just to see Arch Manning play. And someone said something along the lines of, I'm proud of him for not, I think it was Desmond Howard. Desmond was like, I'm proud of him for Not transferring. How much money did they pay him? Oh, that's the key of why he didn't transfer. That's the reason. Kansas State and BYU, both teams are 3-0. It's going to be in Provo, Utah. I've always wanted to go to a game out there. I've seen pictures. It's beautiful. Stadium's nestled right there in the, I believe that's Rocky Mountains. And so I would love to go to a game there. K-State's a 6.5-point favorite. That'll be interesting to see. Well, folks, listen. Game kicks off in about a minute and a half. Get in here, say hello to you. There's a bunch of you in here right now, running your mouth, having a good time. Got Sam Taylor in here. Got David Wood in here. You got Fireval in here. We got American Patriotic back in here. We got JTB721 is running that mouth, and I love it. Fireval's in here. Mark Coffin, my son-in-law, has a... I'm not going to say it, but it's funny. Let's see. Achilles is in here. Just tuning in. Go Tigers from Myrtle Beach. I was actually in Charleston last week. This time right now, I was in Charleston eating at a really good restaurant. The food was good. I just wish they would have given me a lot more food. Anyway, all right, folks. I'm gonna try to do a halftime show. So I hope you'll see me back here. I'll see you back here. Again, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm getting this close to 5,000 subscribers, and it's because of y'all. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. As always, go Tigers.